All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Racers News Network Live. We are very honored tonight. We're going to be talking in just a few minutes to Steve Comella, your two-time Hemi Challenge winner, three-time finalist. He runnered up 3 years ago and then has won 2 in a row. We're going to be talking to him, and we're just kind of waiting for Pete to see if he can actually make it tonight, see if he's got internet. So, in the meantime, let's jump right into it. We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. We got the Stein race at Maple Grove, the national event coming up at Maple Grove this coming weekend. But for now, it is our, again, two-time winner. Oh, there he is. Hold on just one sec, Steve.
Hi, Chris.
All right, let's wait. Let's see if Pete, hey, he lives. A little louder. A little louder, buddy.
Louder than this?
There you go. All right, I got you now.
It's the first time anyone ever told me I wasn't loud enough.
Yeah.
Steve, how are you, bud?
Hi, Pete. How are you tonight?
Doing fantastic.
Good to see you.
Same here.
So again, our guest tonight, Steve Comella, your Hemi Challenge winner for 2022, 2021, and then the runner-up in 2020. So congratulations, Steve, and welcome to Racers News Network.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So two-time winner, Hemi Challenge, in a couple of cars that have a lot of history to them and are historic, a historic class, really, in NHRA racing.
Yeah.
So how cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know if everybody knows, but the Dart that we raced, that's Dad's original Hemi car that he bought new in '68 here in upstate New York. So that's it. Dad's been Hemi racer since '68, so that's all we know.
Very cool. Now, if I remember right, that still has the window sticker in it too.
Yeah, that is correct. So it still has a window sticker in it. We've got a little packet that we made years ago. Dad still got the original bank book for it, the original keys, all the stuff that came from the original sale of the vehicle. I've got a little packet somewhere here in the office with all that stuff in it.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Pete, go ahead.
So, I always talk about when people complain about NHRA racing.
Yeah.
I always tell them that at any given event, there's got to be something there that you like, right? If you don't like the 90s stuff, you like super stock.
Yeah.
The 330 mile an hour dragsters, whatever.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you don't like the Hemi cars, you don't like drag racing. Just go watch tennis or something. I mean, it's such a cool class to watch.
Well, Chris and I were talking before you came on. The Hemi cars, at least, they have somewhat of a cult following as far as guys that like watching this stuff. And I mean, it's very humbling when someone comes up to you at an event and says, the only reason I came here was to see these cars. That's really cool.
And I got to tell you, you guys probably get that a lot because that's I mean, super stock by itself is cool.
Yeah.
And then when you combine Hemi motor in a super stocker, it's like, it's to me, it's pretty much the definition of drag racing, right?
I mean, that's
old school.
That's the cool thing about drag racing. If you take another discipline, say NASCAR, people watch because they love the personality. So you're a Kyle Busch fan, or you're a Dale Earnhardt fan, or you're a so-and-so hater. They're watching because of that. When it comes to drag racing, nobody really cares about the driver. People are there because they want to see the cars. They're true car fans, whether it's Stocker, Chevy, Dodge, Ford, it doesn't matter. They're there to see the cars, and that's really cool to me. I mean, that's really cool to me.
Well, I mean, it's if you go to a NASCAR race, all right, just you go to the Daytona 500, right? On Sunday, you're going to see and forgive my ignorance, is it 35, 38, however, 43?
However, yeah, the field. Yeah, I forget what the fields are. Something like that.
The same friggin' cars.
Yeah.
Right. You're not gonna. Yeah, they have different, Chevy stickers on them or Ford.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the same car.
All right. You go to an NHRA national or divisional, or even if you go bracket racing at your local track on Sunday.
Yep.
You're going to see different classes, different bodies, different kinds of racing. I mean,
think about Indy. You got how many competitors? 400 cars there. I mean, if there ain't something there that you don't like, you're not a car person.
I believe, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like there was 940 cars at Indy.
I believe it was definitely over 900. The exact number, I
didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah, I thought it was 943 for some reason is the number I have in my head. I mean, that's insane.
I mean, and there, like you said, it's not NASCAR where you have a ghost body and then stickers on it. I mean, these are original cars, stock this, stock that. I mean, that's why guys and girls come that love cars. I mean, you're looking at the car.
That's one of the things that drive me crazy. And I'm actually, obviously, I'm partial to .90 stuff because that's what I do. But, they go there and they make all this horsepower to slow it down. And I'm like, you know what? I never told you to like .90.
Right.
Stop bad-mouthing drag racing.
Yeah.
If you got to pick a time to eat and .90 is your time to eat, go eat.
Yeah.
And go watch Super Stock or Top Alcohol or whatever you want to watch.
Yeah.
But as a whole, to me, every event could cater to such a wide variety of people.
Yeah, all across the country.
Nothing to bitch about.
Yeah, I mean, all across the country. I mean, you pick an area, you pick a time, you can go and see these cars. It's to me, it's really cool.
Right. I agree.
I mean, Dad, do you remember we were pitted next to you at Lebanon a few years ago? I mean, Dad and I saw your car. We talked about that car for a week. I mean, that thing you got, that is as cool as it gets.
Thank you very much. And that's the way I feel when I look at your guys' car.
Yeah, we talked about that car for a week.
Yeah, I wish I had it out a little more this year, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I know how that goes too.
But and that's the thing, right? You could take a car, a '77 Vega wagon.
Yeah.
I mean, that car.
I mean, who would have thought, right?
Yeah, back in the 80s, people were throwing rocks at those cars as they were driving down the road. And with all the rust, the rocks were probably going right through the door. But now here you go. You go to a typical NHRA event, and you see a car like mine, or you see a car like yours, or, you could see Jackie Frick go almost 300 miles an hour in an alcohol car. And there's such a spread that could appeal to so many people. I mean, there's no question where my alliance is as far as motorsports goes, but
same here.
It's such a cool thing. And, it's cars like what you guys bring to the table that is a prime reason for that.
Yeah.
So what's the history of the car? Chris told me that it's been in the family for quite a while.
Yeah, so the Dart that we have, that's Dad's original car. He bought that new in '68 from Ron Jones Colonial Dodge in Pittsford, New York. Bought it in '68, a couple weeks before he got married, actually. Bought the car, brought it home, put it in the barn, shut the door for the winter. This is, I believe, late fall. I think it was November of '68 that he bought that car. And it sat in the barn for 6-8 months or so. Through a New York State winter, and then in the spring or late spring, something like that, got it out, started working on it, and that's it. That's what Dad's raced since '68. Prior to that, he was a Chevy guy. I've posted pictures before on the Facebook page. We actually have his '61 car here. That it's a street rod that we drive around in. But he ran a '61 and '61. I mean, run down the list. They've had one of everything, right up through '68 when we bought the Hemi car.
Very cool. And that car's always been a race car.
Always been a race car. It's an original factory Hemi car. Always raced.
That's very cool. A lot of people categorize the Hemi class with cubic dollars, and I know that it's not cheap, but it's more than just writing a check and getting into a car. And that's one of the reasons why I'm glad that we have you on the show, because you're a prime example of, you know, it's been in the family forever and it's something that you worked up to, and it's, you know, it's got personality just like a lot of the cars do. It's not just shell out a ton of money and go racing type of
Yeah, I mean, I'll argue that all day long. I'll stipulate to you that the jump in money is a little higher than another category in stock or super stock. Yep. So the car is expensive. It's expensive to get it going. The drivetrain is a little more expensive. But once you get me to that point, I'll argue with you all day long. You can ask anybody that knows me. We run a tight budget. I'm not spending any more on a week-to-week basis than anybody else who's running stock, super stock. You know, you start naming cars. Once you get past super stock, I'm not spending any more than a comp guy is spending, a top sportsman guy. So yeah, startup, it's going to be expensive, but no, I'll argue with you that we don't spend any more on a week-to-week basis than anybody else who's doing this. I run a super tight budget.
From the outside looking in, and I don't know it to be fact, you would probably know it way better than me, but I would think that it would be more expensive to get into a Copo. Or
oh, I'm telling you it is.
If you started with nothing and you said, I want to go super stock racing, and you had your choice of buying a Hemi car or a Copo or a factory showdown.
I can tell you, I mean, it's not a secret. The factory guys that are running those factory cars, their budgets make mine look embarrassing.
Right.
I mean, and I don't know, you're talking a one-off category when you start talking about the factory cars, because you're borderline getting into professional racing with those cars.
Right.
So yeah, asterisks next to those cars. But if you start looking at some of the faster super stock cars and even some of the faster stockers, I know what our motor costs new, and you know, I know what the top end motors for some of the other, we're not that far off for drivetrain. So no, I'll argue with you that it's not. There is the stigma that it's cubic dollars.
Sure.
I'll argue that to kind of pull that back a little.
Right.
Not quite what everybody thinks.
Right. It's not as crazy. I mean, if you're running, you know, super stock at the top of the alphabet.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Spending money, it doesn't matter if it's got a bow tie, an oval, or a.
That is correct.
Mopar, right.
That is correct, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, like, you're definitely more of an authority on it than I am.
I know what the comp guys are spending. We're not spending any more than they're spending. I promise you that.
Now, is there a spot in comp that a Hemi car could run in?
Yeah, newly created over the last year or 2 years now, maybe. So it runs now in AH Supermod. So go back 4 years ago, we stuffed that car into A Supermod with a horrible index.
Right.
And we did that to get some runs on the 4-speed car when we bought it in 2016.
Yep.
And no, you know, there was no illusion. We weren't trying to go win races with it, but we needed to make laps with it and didn't want to run it in super stock because it's a little more time sensitive as far as getting the car turned over.
Sure.
So we stuffed it in there, and there was, at the time, there was some interest from some of the other guys who wanted to run comp with the cars, but they weren't willing to go to an event, waste money, and, you know, get crushed first round.
Yeah.
So there was some discussion back and forth with NHRA, and Bucky Hess was a big part of getting us a nice index in our own category, and Ben Holt also played a big part in that. And I think this is the second year now where we actually have our own category. It's a reasonable index, and it runs under AH Supermod. And I think it's been a fair turnout over the last couple of years. I know next week Gary and Jimmy are going to run comp at Maple Grove National event this coming week. Yep. So you got 2 cars there. So, you know, that's not bad.
It's another place to go have some fun, right?
Yeah, Matt Welker runs the class a bunch. Bucky runs it a fair amount. We run it less than I wanted to, but we run it occasionally. So there's 4 or 5 cars that run that on a year-to-year basis.
Nice. Good.
I think that's a reasonable turnout.
Yeah, I mean, for a newly created class.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's nice to be able to get some laps on it. And
Definitely.
be more competitive than what they were stuffing you in before.
I think there's an in between somewhere. So, you know, for the faster guys running them in super stock, you're getting close to 120 under. So you kind of got to be careful when it's, you know, in fast weather. So guys are sensitive about that in super stock. So comp is a great spot for it.
Yep.
The problem with comp is there's only 3 or 4 cars that can be competitive, and only when the weather is killer, you know, can you get close to 50 under. And even at 50 under, you're got to get pretty lucky to keep going.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I'm not complaining about it. But
yeah, right. Well, you know what? It's only been 2 years, so maybe they'll, you know, step back and
I mean, you know, they look at the numbers, they evaluate all this stuff on a year-to-year basis. So it kind of depends on who's making runs and how fast they're going, and it gets evaluated that way. Excuse me. Yeah.
Good.
Now, if I'm correct in saying Charlie Westcott does your Hemi motors, is that right?
Yes, we are Charlie Westcott people for 15 years now. I think Charlie did Dad's first motor in 04, 05 roughly, and we've been with him since.
Very cool. Yeah, Charlie's awesome. He's quite the character.
Yep, he's the man.
Yep. So, how many years have you yourself raced the Hemi Challenge at Indy?
10 years this year. So my first Indy was 2012.
And you've run every year, but the last 2 years in the red car?
So the first Indy with that 4-speed car was 2017. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Wow, 6 years actually with that car. Wow.
Time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Yeah, I never really did the math out like that. The first one was 2012 with a Dart, and yeah, we started running that in 2017 with the CUDA.
Wow. So what is it like being 1 at Indy, 2 in a Hemi Challenge, and 3 in one of the 2 cars that you guys have? Do you ever just kind of look and go, this is cool?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, growing up, Dad wasn't much of a quote unquote bracket racer. So for him, it was always class stuff. That was what was important growing up. And especially in the late 60s, 70s, you know, it was class racing. So growing up, we didn't do a lot of dial-in stuff. It was all about going fast. When I got into the car in 2012, we started running divisionals and things like that for experience. And I took to it, and it became about dial-in racing for me and not so much about class racing. I enjoy dial-in racing, and that was our focus for a number of years. And we ran Indy, every year. And of course, that's it. That's the Daytona 500. You want to win Indy. But we never went there from 2012 through 2016 with a motor that we knew we could win with. You know, that motor was a well taken care of, but used motor. It was a lot slower than what Charlie was running at the time. That was when he was dominating. And we were happy to go there, and maybe we could get lucky, go a few rounds, but never planned on winning. And then around 2015 or 2016, we really kind of got the itch to think about stepping it up and doing some class racing and really taking Indy seriously. And in 2016, I'll never forget. I mean, this deal took place over literally 15 minutes. Dad called and said, Hauser's car is up for sale. Buy the car. And I said, yeah. And he said, buy the car. And I said, how much? And he gave me the price. And he said, Steve, buy this car. And I said, okay, tell him we'll take it. That was it. That was literally, the car was purchased like that over the phone. John Mountjoy owned the car. Rick Hauser drove it, if you remember. They had a ton of success with it. Rick Hauser, in my opinion, is top 3 Hemi drivers that's ever been in a Hemi car. So they were very successful with the car. So we knew the car. And yeah, bought it over the phone. Dad was friends with John Mountjoy. Bought it, car got shipped, and that was it, man. As soon as we got that car, it was game on. And we started to take it seriously about class and win an Indy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So is the Dart basically going to be like your divisional national event car, and the CUDA is just going to be your Hemi Challenge car?
That's it. So the Dart, Dart is automatic. It's our bracket car. It's detuned. It has a fantastic motor in it. It will go fast, but it's detuned, de-geared. It's set to leave off a dusty road at the starting line, and it's easy to dial the car. The 4-speed car is set on kill. It's set on blow up. Every time we go through the finish line, it's humming, and that's the way that car is set up.
Awesome. So now, with the runner-up 3 years ago, did you walk away with a little bit more confidence in yourself and in the car?
No, I walked away pissed. That was when we decided. So that deal in 2020, that was a never supposed to happen deal. So we were the JEGS All-Star representative that year. So the deal it was a very short conversation. That was COVID, and they took JEGS All-Stars and they put it in Indy. And I said, Dad, what do you want to do? And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, it's all about JEGS All-Star. I couldn't give two shits about the Hemi shootout. And he said, that's it. We're done. We're running JEGS with the Dart. So that was the end of the conversation. About a couple of days go by, and I thought, well, shit, let me just make some phone calls and ask about running both cars and just see what comes of it. So I made a couple phone calls. I talked to Dave Moan. I talked to a couple of people, and they all got back to me a couple of days later. Now, this is this is end of July, beginning of August. And I finally got permission from NHRA to run both super stock. The deal is JEGS All-Star Dart was a specialty event, and I could run that only in JEGS All-Stars. And my super stock entry was the CUDA. And I thought, well, okay, we've run both cars at an event before. It's really hard to do. It's just me and Dad. It's a real pain in the rear end. It's physically taxing, but we've done it before. So the discussion then was, we're totally focused on JEGS All-Star. I don't care about the CUDA. I don't care about class in Hemi shootout this year. So that's what we did. So we loaded both cars up. Hadn't been in the CUDA in a long time. I mean, last time we ran it was early that year. So we get there, we make the runs for JEGS All-Star, we do the qualifying. And in the course of that weekend, we never get the Barracuda down the track, not once. I've never had this issue before. The car always goes down the track. We couldn't do anything with the car. It was embarrassing. We didn't make any qualifying runs. We ended up last on the qualifying list. Friday comes around. I get beat first round in JEGS All-Stars, so I'm pissed off. And we're there. We got the CUDA, so we might as well run the CUDA now. First round, guy red lights against me, car doesn't go down the track. Second round, guy red lights against me, car doesn't go down the track. Third round, guy red lights against me, knock the transmission out of the car. I mean, the whole day was like that. Fast forward to the finals, car doesn't go down the track. I felt like we looked like absolute morons. And we drove home, runnered up at Indy. And I said, Dad, we're never going to an event like that again and not prepared. I'm embarrassed because we weren't prepared and we looked stupid. I don't care if we runnered up. I don't care about any of that stuff. And he said, all right. And he said, well, what are we going to do? And it started on the ride home. I said, you can't guarantee a win or you can't guarantee anything, but I promise you, we will never go to an event again and that car not be set on kill and ready to go. And that was it. That was the ride home where I called Charlie the next morning. And I said, Charlie, what do we got to do to get this thing where it needs to be? And that's how it all evolved from literally the next day, 2020 Hemi shootout through 2021 Hemi challenge.
So you run it up and you were so pissed off that you had stepped up your program.
I can't tell you how upset I was driving home after that runner-up. Wow. I mean, you would think I would have some feeling of relief, satisfaction, whatever you want to call it. Couldn't be further from the emotion that I felt. I felt embarrassed. I thought we looked stupid. We should have never gotten through first round. We got outworked, which to me is the biggest insult you can ever give me, is that we didn't work hard enough. And yeah, both Dad and I both said, never again, we'll never take that car somewhere and not be ready to go. So that was kind of the impetus to bring it in 2021 and, really make runs on it that year and really get comfortable. Because So that we'd owned the car for 4 years. I was up to that point, I was physically uncomfortable in the car. I didn't like being in it. The seat sucked. I didn't like where everything was. I was just very uncomfortable in the car. Didn't have a lot of experience. And that's it. We just changed it all. Just little tweaks here and there, and just made it so I was comfortable. I mean, I used to go down to the shop. I'd just sit in the car with paperwork, do some paperwork, make some phone calls, write some emails, just sit in the car, strapped into the car, get hot, sweat, be uncomfortable, and just do shit in the car.
Right. That's pretty cool.
So just enough fire under your backside to make it the best damn thing you've ever driven.
Yeah, we did a lot of little stuff. I mean, you talk about the term picking up pennies. I mean, there's no dollar bills to pick up, but it was all just picking up pennies, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little tweak here, a little bit of suspension stuff there. And the dollars that we picked up were from Charlie. I mean, he took that motor and massaged it, and you know, the horsepower came from him. So I mean, let's not don't make any mistakes about that. It was all horsepower, but you know, the car part, I got myself comfortable in the car.
Very cool.
Awesome. So let me ask you a question, and unless you know something that we don't, in your opinion, with Chicago, oh, you know what? I just answered my own question. I was going to say, do you think they'll have the Jegs All-Stars back in Chicago?
I think the guys want it in Chicago.
The problem is it's early in the year.
Yeah.
That's like
So
May.
I don't know that they can make it happen that early, can they?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of cool to have everything at Indy.
Right.
It's such a showcase, and there's so many eyes on you. So that's cool. And the coverage is cool. The problem is that from a racer standpoint, it's Indy. You're focused on you want to be at Indy and win Indy. Sure. And to have a specialty event like that, I can tell you from being a part of it, all I was thinking about was Jegs All-Star, and you know, you're not really focused on Indy, and that's its own kind of beast. I mean, you really need to be paying attention because there's an external energy at Indy that you have to manage. And if you're thinking about the specialty event, the internal stress and emotion of running these things, and then on top of that, put in the fact that you're at Indy and all the external pressure from that, it makes it a really difficult week to manage.
Right. And it's every bit of a week too, right?
Yeah, it's a long week. No matter when you get there, you feel like you've been there for a month. It's a long week.
It's definitely something I want to experience before I'm done.
You've never been to Indy?
Never been to Indy.
You got to go to Indy.
I know. Never been to Indy.
Yeah, gotta go to
PRI a bunch of times.
Yep.
You know the area, but never been to Indy.
You gotta experience it. It's just this external Indy. There's an energy in the air. You can't get it from anywhere else.
Yeah. Definitely. I have to do it at least once before I'm done. That's for
absolutely.
Sure. Without a doubt. Cool.
So how did you feel coming out of the U.S. Nationals after this win?
This year was much more gratifying, much more satisfying than 2021. It felt different this year to win it.
Very cool. So now that you've got this out of the way, so to speak, what's the rest of 2022 looking like for you?
We're leaving Wednesday morning to go to Maple Grove with the Dart, and then we will go to the Dutch with Barracuda to run the Hemi shootout there, and plus or minus Virginia divisional. Not sure yet. It's kind of a long haul, and I got to work that week. I got to work the flanking Friday and the flanking Monday, so that turns it into a long haul. We'll just kind of see how this week goes.
Pete?
Yeah. What's your schedule look like for next year? Do you have any plans yet?
No plans. I mean, the plan generically is to run all the D1 stuff. I would like to have another nice divisional year. We had a killer year in 2019, won the division. 2020, COVID happened. And, this past year, 2022, we just have not been able to put anything together divisionally. We had a really nice weekend at Cecil County, got beat in the semis, but other than that, just haven't been able to put it together. Nothing specific, just bad luck when we needed good luck, drove crappy when I needed to drive good, drove good when I needed to drive great, just couldn't put it together.
Right. So just trying to improve on 2022 next year. And
the deal with the 4-speed car is I would like to run a couple of comp events with it, get some laps in it, try a couple things, have a couple ideas want to try, and then go back to Indy in 2023.
Excellent. Fair enough. Well, we know who we'll be rooting for in the Hemi Challenge, that's for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll take all the help I can get.
Yeah, right. Who do you want to thank for helping you out with your program?
Of course, I have to thank Dad. It's his program. It's his knowledge. He's the one that taught me everything. So that's an easy one. I wouldn't be doing this without Dad, and I won't do it without Dad. Got to thank Charlie Westcott, of course. It's his horsepower. Charlie is probably, I've said this before on the Facebook page, Charlie is who I have wanted to emulate as far as a racing program. I used to watch him well before I got in behind the seat of the car and just stand there and watch how he works. If you haven't seen it, you missed it. It was really cool to watch him work. So thank you, Charlie, of course. And then the Holt family, John and Ben Holt, they're the ones with their hands on the cars as far as suspension, stuff like that, updates and things like that. Enormously helpful. They've become our friends over the years. We actually spend time with John outside of racing, and Ben is a good friend of mine. I talk to him all the time. So that's kind of it. And of course, Crystal at home, she's the one that gets all the bad side of this. So on the bad weekends, she's the one that gets me miserable between events. It's not fun. All these people that are home, the support staff that live with us, they deserve a big thank you. So she's the one that puts up with the nonsense for me. So thank you to Crystal.
My wife could definitely relate to that.
Yeah, it's not fun. I hate losing way more than I enjoy winning. When we win and when we do well, I expected to win and do well. So it's a matter of fact. When we do poorly and I come home, I am miserable. It is really painful for me to lose. And I'm not fun to be around for a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny because this is the anniversary weekend of my first divisional win.
Yeah.
And, you got memories that come up on Facebook. And my wife posted, a couple of weeks ago when we lost second round or whatever it was, she wondered why we do this. With that win, she goes, now I finally understand why.
Yeah.
And that's, the amount of agony and effort and stress for the highlights, you always question if it's worth it until it happens.
Correct.
When it happens, you're like, okay, this is why my knuckles have been bare for the last 10 years. I get it now.
It's a pretty high. Unfortunately for me, it's short-lived.
It is the definition of an emotional roller coaster. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
But excellent. Well, listen, we super appreciate you coming on.
Of course, I'm honored. I'm happy to talk.
On your recent success.
Thank you.
And we'll be pulling for you in the future. Great job.
Thank you. It means a lot. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. All right, our guest tonight, Steve Comella, your 2022 Hemi Challenge winner from the U.S. Nationals. Thank you, my friend, for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck the rest of this year.
Appreciate it very much.
And if you don't know what his Hemi dart looks like or his CUDA looks like, then shame on you because you can't miss it.
It might be the only Hemi guy that ever knew my car existed, so I'm pretty impressed.
Oh, it's a cool car. Yeah. Well, if you haven't seen that car, go look it up, anybody.
God, don't tell him that.
Yeah, I'll set up an autograph booth pretty soon.
Yes, absolutely.
when he can make it to a race.
Yeah.
That's always the hardest part.
Before you take off, Steve, great joke. You know Taylor Nobile, I assume, correct?
Of course. Yeah.
All right. So obviously, Taylor and her husband just had their baby. Well, about, I don't know, what, a month or so ago, Pete?
Yeah.
It was Bust on Pete night.
Yeah.
And she opened fire and she said, the pregnant girl has made it to more races than you have.
Yeah. And that's true.
That's not a compliment, by the way, Pete.
Yeah. I told her, well, I look pregnant, so does that count?
No, doesn't count. Doesn't count.
What are you gonna do?
All right, Steve. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Of course. Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a great night.
All right, buddy. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
All right, again, Steve Comella, your 2022 Hemi Shootout winner at the U.S. Nationals this year. Congratulations to Steve and his entire family.
Good stuff.
What's up, Sunshine?
He's a great guest.
He is. He's a cool guy.
Yep, no doubt.
So one of the states responsible for putting a man on the moon and finally get their internet connection figured out.
Well, as I say, yes, you are choppy as hell. So I don't know if that's you or me. I don't know what's going on, but
you got a little bit of a tinny thing going on, so maybe on your end, but whatever.
Who the hell knows? Either way, I'm here.
Yeah, internet. It's a vast right-wing conspiracy, I'm sure, just like everything else going on.
Without a doubt.
So what's shaking, my friend?
Same old. School's going. Exploratory's going. We got a lot of stuff going on. Shop is busy, so it's all good.
Awesome.
All good.
So obviously we have Maple Grove National event coming up this weekend.
Yep.
This past weekend, the Stein Memorial Race. Some stuff to talk about there, correct?
Yep.
So I sent you a bunch of information and
yes.
Some really cool stats came out of that race, in my opinion, as far as car count altogether and by class.
Right.
So Rob Keister and his group put on the Stein Memorial Race this past weekend. Second annual, yes, that's right. I'm going to just lead off with this number. 243 total cars for that memorial race this weekend.
That's bordering on divisional like.
And that is 11 more cars than what they had last year.
So keep something in mind. All right. That is 243 cars. That's not super stock. That's not stock. That's not comp. And that's not any top alcohol stuff.
Right.
So when you consider that car count with much less classes than a divisional, that's pretty damn impressive. And let's not forget, diesel's still over $5 a gallon, and we're getting pretty late in the year where a lot of people's stuff is worn out and people need a break, and people might have skipped out on this race because the national event coming the week after. So again, it speaks volumes to the kind of program that Rob has put together. He's doing a hell of a job. He should be very proud of himself for pulling off what he did.
All right. I'm going to break it down by class. Super Comp, 66 cars. Super Gas, 41 cars. Super Street, 34 cars. Top Dragster, 32. Top Sportsman, 12. Now the last number, even though it's a little bit less than Super Comp, was one that I just went, holy crap about. Junior Dragsters.
Very cool.
58 juniors showed up to run.
And we've said this countless times on the show with countless guests. We need the junior dragster program to continue the sport. And the fact that there was 58 of them there is fantastic. It's good stuff. And it was very impressive to see.
It was. Like I said, even though Super Comp had 66, and that was in the .90 class, the highest car count, I'm still, like I said, blown away by 58 juniors showing up.
That's a lot of juniors. I don't know, in all the racing that I've ever done, I don't know that I've ever seen 58 juniors at one event. I mean,
don't
that's
believe
almost
so.
like the when they have the junior dragster nationals, or they get them all together. I mean, I think that's the only time I've ever heard of more juniors being at one event than that.
Right.
Super impressive.
So the only other hiccup they had was they were supposed to have a race on Sunday as well, but rain won out. So there's not going to be a makeup date for that. But the cool thing is they paid out the full purse also as per what his flyer said for the race.
Right. That's, you know what, when you have a good relationship with your racers and you're able to attract sponsors, you could do stuff like that. But that's something that he's worked at for years. That's not something that he just put this race together and was able to do that.
Right.
So hats off to him for being able to pull that off and getting the kind of exposure that he needs to make that happen.
Yep, it was a hell of a race.
Yeah.
And my understanding is the new owners of Maple Grove are quite impressed with the car count as well, which they should be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see providing weather forecast, economy in the time of year. I don't see any problem with that race in the very near future breaking 300 cars.
Nope, not at all.
I don't see any problem with that at all. I mean, when like you said, it went up 11 cars. The weather forecast wasn't stellar. The gas prices are god awful, or fuel prices, I should say. Right on the back of a national event, some people might have to pick with time off from work or money or whatever. I'm going to do one or the other. If all those things that I just mentioned held back a half a dozen people each, that's 300 is not impossible by any stretch.
We're actually going to be joined by Rob Keister in just a moment.
Oh, awesome. Good.
Yeah, he's going to come on.
Good.
But we'll get to all the results and stuff. Either we will or we will with Rob.
Right.
But if you haven't seen the video yet of Tom Stalba on stage singing, it's worth it.
Yeah, right.
It's really cool.
So before Rob gets on, I'm sure anybody that knows anything knows that Stalba won. Super Comp is a class that hits home for him because that's obviously what they've competed in, and they were pretty tight. Won 2 years in a row, which again, I'm sure everybody knows. But I remember last year watching him win, and I don't know if you saw the video of Chris D. He turned the car around at the end of the track. He came down, he stopped. Chris D hopped the fence, gave him a high five. He was super, super emotional. And like we were just talking about with Steve, that's the reason why we do what we do. I mean, that, in my opinion, was the definition of why we do what we do. The fact that he went out there and did it again and back-to-backed it, it's stuff that dreams are made of. And hats off to those guys, because good God, that's a hell of an accomplishment.
And it's not always about the cash that you're going to walk out of there with.
Oh, I guarantee you, and I haven't talked to Tom about it, I guarantee you he would light that money on fire just to be able to say that he won that race back to back, just because of how much it means to him versus the money that you get out of it. Right. Not that it's chump change, because it was a hell of a payout, but when there's that much emotion involved, the money is totally secondary.
Right. All right, Rob, just unmute yourself. There he is. Hell of a job.
Thank
you. Mr. Rob, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Pete?
We're hanging in there. No complaints.
Nobody want to listen anyway, right?
No one cares. Yep. Congrats. I've been giving you props all night, but congrats on a hell of a job. You definitely had your fair share of adversity. And at the end of the day, people are talking about the race and not about the adversity. So great job.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, as I like to say, when you get thrown a lot of, curve balls and things like that, it's how you work on things and how you adjust to things.
Yep.
Make things, happy, make the racers happy at the end of the day.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely like you kind of touched on with everything going on in the world right now between gas prices and fuel prices and food prices and things like that. You always kind of get scared on big events.
Right.
I mean, one of the big things is, when me and Jeff Stricker, who kind of was my partner in this whole deal. I mean, Jeff was Dave's father-in-law. Dave was married to Kara.
Right.
When we talked about it, he was like, with everything going on, we should have did pre-entries. But pre-entries also open up a can of worms too, is because, Monday comes around and people start looking at the weather forecast.
Sure.
And then you go, oh my God, now you're refunding people, all their money that they've already pre-entered into.
Right.
And sometimes you almost kind of roll the dice a little bit and hope that you give a great, program to people who do show up and that they spread the word to everybody that is out there. And, going into it, to have 11 more cars than we had last year when things probably weren't as bad.
Right.
Gas prices were probably $2 cheaper.
Right.
COVID, everybody was kind of coming out of the COVID, age where it was so people wanted the race.
Right.
And, so to have 11 more cars than we did the year before was a positive swing for this.
Right.
And, everybody that I've talked to had great things to say about it. And I'll be completely honest with you. It started out rough. It started out really, really rough.
Yep.
Like I said, when you like kind of what I said about the pre-entry thing. I mean, when you don't know what you're going to get. And when I get a phone call from Jeff on Monday saying, listen, there's already 3 rigs that are already parked outside Maple Grove's gate waiting to get in. And this is Monday after Indy, and you're kind of like in your head, like, well, maybe this is going to be a kind of a big thing. Like, maybe what kind of monster have I created?
Right.
I got there probably about 5 o'clock or so, about 4 o'clock or so on Thursday, and I had a meeting with some of the staff at Maple Grove just to kind of go over like the gate prices and stuff. And as I turned around, they just were lining up more and more out on there to the point where on Friday morning when we had to open up the gates probably about half an hour early, because the fact is that we're actually funneling out onto Bowmansville Road.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have everybody sitting out there, not being able to actually get into the facility. So that was a positive thing.
Right.
And, then we actually, we got everybody parked as we could. Now in the preparation for the national event, they, and Pete, I mean, you probably haven't been to Maple Grove since Kyle has taken over and the Koretsky family has taken over and stuff.
Correct.
But the amount of work that they have done to the facility is unbelievable.
When you're done, I'm going to touch on that.
Yes. The amount of money that they have put into the facility. I mean, yes, it still looks the same. It's still the same towers that are there,
right.
And things like that. But just the ambiance of the facility itself. There's a brand new, awesome looking walkway up in front of the tower. The towers have been repainted. The back portion of the whole stage lanes have been resealed and repainted. So, it's what lane I'm in now. I mean, it's not like I think this is lane 1. I'm not sure if that's lane 2. I don't know where I'm at. That's all been repaved. The macadam that used to be up by the bathroom, used to go rocks and stuff like that right there, that has all been repaved to asphalt now. they're doing little things as they go along. And, Kyle and myself had talked, when Kyle was talking about him, purchasing the place. And I told him, I said, don't try to reinvent the wheel, all at once. Just show people that you are making a difference to this facility that has been around for 60 years now. And it's not the same old Maple Grove anymore.
Right.
And he's doing a great job. I think what people will see this weekend at Maple Grove people will be very, very shocked and surprised to see how great looking the facility is. And I think it's only more to come down the road. I talked about,
let's not forget, this is after purchasing it this same year.
Yeah.
So it's not like they purchased it and sat on it for 5 years, right? They're jumping right in with both feet, making it happen.
Yeah. I mean, he purchased it on April 20th. I mean, it's not even 5 months yet. And you see the changes that, there's buildings that were there for years that I didn't even know that he got rid of. There was a kind of a thing I was, what I tried to do to make. So Pete, you've been to one of my races before. What basically happens is when you come up to the gate, you pay a entry fee, that which is kind of like the track rental, and you pay any spectators. And then you come over and visit us, then you basically pay your entry fee. Well, this past weekend, we rented the racetrack. Jeff and myself rented the racetrack for the weekend. Okay. So they handled all the payouts, which of course drove my vice president Dana nuts because she wasn't handling any money, or it was she was kind of crazy. But so as I was setting things up on Saturday morning, I wanted to set up a table and actually put all my boards up at the beginning at the end of the staging lanes to put the ladders up there so everybody can look at the ladders. They didn't have somebody like, where's Pete at with the ladders? I don't know where he's at, or where's Rob at with the ladders? The ladders were posted in the end of the staging lane so everybody could see who they ran, so it make it a little more easier on them. And I go in the back and I'm going up there to go put the table up and I'm going, wow, they took the little ticket booth that was used to be up here. That's gone. That's no longer around. And I was they took that down. So, it was a fun time. I mean, unfortunately, Friday, they had put they put a brand new patch of concrete in at the starting line. And then Kurt Johnson from, I think, Total Venue Concepts came in and grounded basically the patch right by the starting line. So they were kind of spending all morning long going back and forth with the rotator, trying to get rubber down on that. We started the high roller race a little later than we had really hoped to. Right. And, Maple Grove's a tricky track. A lot of people, there's people that are keyboard cowboys or keyboard warriors, as I like to call them, who kind of feel like they know everything. Like they've, maybe only raced at one track their whole entire life. They never raced at any other tracks, but they know track prep. They know how things are supposed to be. And unfortunately, Keith Mayers crashed. I didn't actually see the crash itself. I had been working the lanes and I was trying to get Supercom guys in their cars. And Keith was the last pair to go down, and then John Leahy was in. John Leahy from Super Street with the Nova. He was taking a buy run in the high roller race, and I heard John do a burnout and then just automatically stop. And I was like, that sounded weird, like something break, or was I turned around and I see Shaggy, which is Scott Stapp, which is Keith's gas and guy with a guy. He calls him the gas and hood man or whatever it was. Running the racetrack, and I was like, this is kind of weird. Maybe Keith broke or something happened. Keith broke. Was this because you know what? Keith is a 30-year veteran, 35+ year veteran of driving a race car. You don't expect it to happen with Keith. Yep. It can happen to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I mean, it happened to you. It can happen to people who've been racing for years. It can happen to a guy who just gets into a race car. That's like somebody like Keith. You just don't expect that to happen. Yep. So he ran down to the front, and I looked over, and next thing I know, I could see the side of the Porsche, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, so, real quick, went down, actually picked up Scott probably about the 1,000-foot mark. He had ran. People passed him on. Poor Scott. People passed him on the golf cart. Was the guy still running down the racetrack?
Yeah, right. God forbid someone give him a ride or something. Right?
So I picked him up on the scooter, and we both rode down there, and it was minor damage to Keith's car. I mean, he had, you know, a little cosmetic damage as far as the front end. The hood was a little beat up. And one of the front wheels, I think, was maybe turned in a little bit. And Keith was upset. I mean, Keith was hot. I mean, listen, you know, I completely understand where Keith was coming from. I had a talk with the other Super Street racers who had already made a pass down the racetrack. And, you know, they both all told me that starting line was great. 60 foot was great. 330 was great. Once they started getting in the high gear, it was starting to get a little bit on the side upstairs. And, you know, so it was like, okay, we're going to have to scrape. And that's really what it is. From 600 feet on down to the scoreboards, it's going to have to be scraped. I mean, if anybody knows, scraping does not take 10 minutes to do.
Not a 10-minute ordeal, right?
No. So, you know, I talked to Kyle, I talked to Shane, their track manager, and Rob, who's pretty much their track prep guy, and they pretty much agreed that, listen, it's going to be probably an hour and a half process. And, you know, we're already at 2:30 now. It brings us into 4:00. Then it brings us into opening up for street night, you know, test and tune night. So you have that. And then you also, you know, you're starting to run into the risk of, hey, it's supposed to only, you know, it's supposed to go down to like 59 degrees tonight. You're going to do it. Yeah. Try to run throttle stop cars at 59, 58 degrees now.
Right.
What's happen now? You know, God forbid you don't want that to happen again, or even have it happen even worse.
Right.
So call the drivers meeting. You know what? I'll let the drivers decide what their take is on, you know, things. And I basically gave them the option. I said, listen, we can either give you guys your money back on for the high roller race. We can go 8th mile, or, you know, you let me know what you want to do. I said, we'll take a vote on it.
Right.
You know, pretty much I asked, you know, what their thoughts on 8th mile was. Everybody didn't want to do it. You know, I mean, these guys it's kind of like that 8th mile, quarter mile argument. You know, it's like the bracket racers don't want to go quarter mile, but they'll go 8th mile. The .90 guys want to go quarter mile, and they don't want to go 8th mile.
Right.
You know, and so I told them, I said, listen, it doesn't really feel like anybody wants to go 8th mile, so we'll just cancel the high roller race. So have everybody put all their stuff back into their trailers, feel the end of the night, drink a couple beers, and go watch the band. Top sportsman guys came up to me and said, listen, we want to do something. We're okay running 8th mile. We have no problem with that. So they ran 8th mile, and I think we had about 21 or 22 total, and we did like a top sportsman versus top dragster shootout. And, you know, it was good. We just, you know, we were trying to get rubber down on the racetrack, and we ended up giving 3 qualifiers, which you probably should have gave 1 qualifier and went in the first round. But the first qualifier was a little iffy just because we needed to get rubber in. And decided to give them 2. Then it turned into 3. And by the time we got around the first round, it was like 8:30. And the dew had started setting in, and the first couple pairs went down, and it was not safe to race. And what, if you're a track prep specialist, pretty much what they call is called icing over. So it's basically, you can walk out to a 500, 600 feet in the racetrack, and your foot still sticks to the racetrack because the glue's still there. But if you rub your hand over top of the racetrack itself, it's like smooth as ice. So that's what we call icing over. So there's basically what it is, you have your track, you have your glue, and then you're having the dew start to settle over top of it. And it's making it a slick surface. So decided to give all the top sports and top dragster guys back their money. Call it a night, let the test and tune do its deal. So Saturday morning we woke up, 6 in the morning. I went to go do my regular prep, and I walked the racetrack from one side down to the other and looked at everything, because Kyle, Sheen, and Rob spent till midnight scraping the whole entire racetrack. Test and tune was done with. We had the pig. It was funny. We had the pig cooking one for the barbecue, and then we had them scraping. But it was, kept on joking. We says, well, I think that's the pig smoke, and I think that's the racetrack burn. But they were out scraping till about midnight or so. I went out in the morning, went down, checked everything that they were doing, and Saturday I told all the racers, because unfortunately, there was some stuff said on Facebook, and I was getting messages from racers. You know, racers were coming to me going, I'm hearing stuff that it's unsafe to race at Maple Grove right now. You know, I don't want to come, I don't want to come and spend my money there and be on a racetrack. And I told people, I said, you know, I will promise you 100% that I'm not going to send somebody down an unsafe racetrack. That's just how I go. You know, it's like the Keith thing. I told people, I said, I did not wake up this morning going and jumping up and down going, boy, I hope I put Keith Mayers in the wall today.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know, about like an absolute gut punch that like literally my stomach fell to the bottom of my feet when I saw Keith there. It was, you know, it was absolutely heartbreaking to me to see somebody like Keith, who has been a time champion of my series, to do that. I mean, that was just an absolute heartbreaking deal for me. And people around me, even at nighttime, saw how upset I was about it. And so Saturday morning, you know, Super Street went out. They pretty much were getting down the track pretty good.
Yep.
Super not the first couple of pairs were having some issues with as the top end was going. So we stopped the race. Pretty much just we're trying to figure out a plan. And, you know, what we basically need to do was keep putting rubber down on the racetrack and then gluing it and letting the glue sit for 15 to 20 minutes. So let it heal, because with the new compounds that are coming out, because they're missing a product now, it's not, you could spray it at 100%.
Right.
It's not as it used to be. You know, if you used to spray PJH or PJ1 or VP, or it was when it was 100%, it would take your ankle off of you.
Right.
Now without the component that they are missing now and there, it's not, you can spray it 100%. It's not as sticky as it used to be.
Yeah.
So we were spraying at 95%. So I think there's 5% alcohol that was into the mixture that we were doing.
Okay.
So we did it for about 15, 20 minutes. Kyle came in to me and Shane and basically said, listen, I'm not sending anybody down the racetrack if I don't feel it's safe. And I said, I totally agree. He says, you know what I'm going to do? I said, what? He says, I'm going to jump in my own race car and I'm going to make a pass in each lane. So we had a driver's meeting.
Yeah.
I got up there and I asked everybody, I said, you know, here's the deal. I said, we can go 1/8 mile or we can go 1/4 mile. You let me know what you guys want to do. We will take a vote for you, the racers.
Right.
You let me know. I said, who wants 1/4 mile? I'd say 85% of everybody raised their hand.
Sure.
And I said 1/8 mile, and it was about 5 people that raised their hand.
Yeah.
And I said, here's the deal. I said, if you guys make a pass in the qualifier and do not feel safe going down that racetrack, I will give you back your $250 entry fee.
Yep.
Take the loss and take the money out of my pocket, or wasn't pay you back because you don't feel safe going down. I said, I'm not going to risk you having issues with your race car, and I will wholeheartedly give you back your money.
Yep.
So then Kyle came up, says, I will make 2 passes down both, or I'll make a pass down each lane. And he did. Went down straight as an arrow. We felt we fixed the problem. So we started racing again and really had no issues the rest of the day. Problem was we were 2.5 to 3 hours behind schedule now.
Right.
Because so now it was kind of a, you know, hurry up and try to get done, which, you know, we did, and we busted our butts. I mean, between myself, Dana, my vice president, Ashley Payone, Kathy Smulligan helped us when she lost first round. Jared Artis from Division I, who's the Division I starter. I had brought him in on Saturday and Sunday, or Saturday, to help us out with the event. And he was they didn't need him for any kind of track prep where it was. So I said, I'm going to use you to help pair. So it was just a cycle. I mean, it was, okay, we got Super Comp in the back. Let's call junior dragsters. Okay, we got junior dragsters in the back. Let's call top dragster. Once we got rolling, we didn't. It just rolled. And we'll just say at 11:30, or no, say 11 o'clock, we started time shots. We finished time shots at 2. We ran the final round of Super Comp, a 7-round race, 6-round of Super. So a 7-round race of Super Comp, a 6-round race of Super Gas, a 6-round race of Super Street. Juniors was a 6-round race. Top Dragster was a 5-round race. Top Sportsman was a 4-round race, and we finished the final at 8:43.
Wow. Whew, that's a lot of racing in a short period of time.
6.5 hours, we busted out all those rounds of racing. And I mean, I made the decision at about 3:00. I kept looking at my phone because, speaking of weather, Thursday morning, I'm reluctant on posting anything on my Facebook page because I don't want it to change. And, the Thursday when I was getting ready to leave, I looked at the weather and said, weather looks beautiful Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this is going to be an awesome weekend, great weekend. Who wouldn't show up, right? Yeah, right. So we're all sitting out there stacking on Thursday night, having a couple of beverages. And I look at my phone. I was like, oh, wow. We went from 10% chance of rain on Sunday to 85% chance of rain on Sunday. Okay. I said, man, well, you know what? Maybe the weatherman's going to be wrong and they're just going to, maybe they'll switch back around on their.
Yeah, right. If it went one way, hopefully you could go back.
Yeah. So we waited until Saturday about 3:30 or so. And I basically just said, listen, it's not going to get any better. It's not looking any better. It's like 87% now. And I was like,
now we're too close to the actual day for them to be way off. So,
yeah. And I'll explain something real quick. I know, Pete, it's getting close to Street Outlaws time for you, but
I thought you were going to say bedtime.
I love you, man. So
he's got his DVR set, Rob. He's all set.
Right.
He just needs his milk and cookies and his shower.
I got to be honest with you guys, not to get off the subject, but it's not on tonight.
Oh, perfect.
They finished up Endgame, and then they're starting NPK next week, I think. So it's an off night.
Yeah. So I want to explain people who don't know this about track rentals. I mean, I know some people know about it, some people don't. So when you rent a track for a day, you're going to pay an X amount of money that is decided on between you and the owner of the racetrack.
Right.
So let's say we have with the circumstances that we had yesterday, where we woke up in the morning, it was already pouring down rain and it wasn't look like it was stopping until 3:00 in the afternoon.
Right.
If you bring anybody in, you don't pay that track rental for that day. If they, say you come in the morning, it looks pretty good till 12:00, or maybe it's, Pete, you've been there, the Maple Grove Mist. I think they can make a horror movie after the Maple Grove.
Yeah, right.
That comes in there. And if they make that attempt to, hey, we're going to start the tractors up, we're going to try to go up and down the racetrack, try to dry it off a little bit, but in the end, we couldn't get the track dry and you canceled. You still pay for the labor and you still pay for the diesel for. If you send one race car down the racetrack and it downpours afterwards, you pay that full rental.
Sure.
So I think a lot of people don't realize that when it comes into the whole judgment thing of why did this person cancel so quickly? Why did they make the call so quickly, or it was that screws us racers?
Right.
You got to look at the long run things of stuff is that, hey, we started at 9:00. We know it's going to rain at 10:30.
Right.
Do you take that risk of trying to run for an hour and a half and hope that the weatherman's wrong? And then at 10:30 downpours and you still got to pay that, whatever a set amount of fee. That is you
still have to pay that, but then you also have to give the racers their money back too.
Yeah. Yeah. So
racers don't want to race at their own risk.
Yes.
Right. It's like, hey, we didn't race. Give me my money back.
Yep.
You guys have to do it at your risk. And then you get blamed when you pull the trigger because everyone gets cranky. But
and I think a lot of people don't realize that when you make that call. I mean, people just think that, you don't want to race today. You don't want to spend the money, this and that. And it's like, no, the reason why is because, we have a budget. We have what is set. And, it's a tough call. I mean, trust me, I would have loved to race on Sunday. I would have loved to do. Trust me, I got trophies sitting in my trailer now that I've had for 2 years now because last year's .90 Nationals got rained out on Sunday also. So I never handed trophies out then. So then I basically had Travis Theobald to make me brand new stickers for this year. I put all the brand new stickers on those and they got rained out again on Sunday this time. So I'm collecting trophies as we go along now. So you just got to get me new stickers for next year.
The next time someone wins on a Sunday, they're going to get like 12 trophies.
Yes. But overall, it was a great time. Just go on to all the Facebook posts that are on there today. I mean, racers supporting racers. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I know it's very quick to pull the trigger and trash somebody when they make a wrong decision or a race really didn't go the way that they hoped it was going to go where it was. But the positive feedback that I got from the racers, the post on Facebook, everything, the text messages, the messages, all the past 36 hours has been phenomenal.
Right.
And I called Jeff Stricker today just to chit chat with him just about some of the financial things. And he goes, "Why don't we do 2 next year?" And I said, "Dude, you took 10 years off my life this weekend."
Yeah,
I said, "I'm not doing 2." I said, we will definitely do another one next year. I mean, there will be a third. We may switch it up a little bit. There has been talk, maybe not as a Dave's Time memorial, but more of a fallen racers memorial.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of racers out there who, we've lost.
Sure.
Phillips, Marty Ganjoin, Steve Martell, racers that have passed where it was that were part of my association. There were .90 racers,
Yep.
They're not really doing anything for, to honor their legacy also in the thing. So, it could switch to like a fallen racers type thing, type deal rather than the Dave Stein. And it's not nothing to take back from, Dave. It's just, things of, just to do something for other racers. So
Right. I like that. That's very cool.
That's cool. That's a great idea.
So, Rob, we are going to let you announce the winners of your race. And then I want to touch home on a couple of conversations that I was involved with the Friday ordeal.
Okay, sure.
So go ahead.
Give me a second. As you saw, when everything went dark, I had my computer up and all the results were up for Chris. And then all of a sudden my computer decided it was going to shut itself down. So, all right.
And we're proud to see that Tom Staba has found a new career as a rock star.
Yes. Probably, honestly, if anybody stuck around after the finals was over with and went over to the band. So I'll give you another. I know we're running late, and I'm sorry for even.
That's all right. No
Don't
worries.
worry about it. Don't you worry about that.
My dream of this whole entire event, and I told this gentleman at the barbecue and everything on Saturday night. So probably about 3-4 years ago, Chris DePasquale came up to me at one of the division races. Now, Pete, Chris very well. And I'm sure you've been a part of or possibly partaken in some of the festivities that used to be after hours at some of the division races. I'm sure when maybe a Mark Caruso used to run Super Street with us, the famous beer pong.
Oh, yeah.
Pitcher
Cup. Yeah. Yep.
So Chris came up on his golf cart, and if anybody it was past 5 years ago when Bill Phillips was alive, Bill's motorhome kind of was the after party area for everybody to come to because there was really nothing else going on. Bill was a businessman who stayed up late, and his fiance Tina was from New York City, so that late that nightlife area being till 2-3 o'clock in the morning type thing. And one race, I can't remember what it was, Chris comes rolling up on the golf cart and he goes, "Dude, where's everyone at?" I said, "What do you mean, where's everyone at?" He said, "Where's everyone at?" Because I've driven around these pits like 3 times now, and there's nobody up. Nobody's awake. Everybody's sleeping. He's like, "This sucks." He goes, "What happened to, 10 years ago when we used to have parties and flip cup and beer pong and cornhole and this and that?" And I said, "Chris, I don't know." I said, I think people are just getting older. They can't.
We're old.
Yeah. And man, we gotta figure something out with us. So when I started, last year at the Dave Stein race, where it was Saturday night, we had a band. It was a 70s band called Lovelies, and we did a barbecue. Unfortunately, we end up running out of food, which was an embarrassment on myself as a promoter because racers that were running late, the staff that was running late didn't get a chance to eat. Sure. So we, focused on a plan for this year to make sure everyone got fed. But then I said, you know what, it'd be cool not to do one night, but maybe 2 nights of bands, have the pits filled up with bands. So I got a band on Friday night. Yep. Tom Frolic band was a blues band. And then we had Lovelace again on Saturday night, which was a great band. After Tommy won, we were sitting there chit-chatting in this motorhome. And he said to me, he says, if I don't get some food, this could be a long night for me, or it was.
Yeah.
8, and he started to divulge into some of the adult beverages. And I say about an hour after we talked, next thing I know, he was on stage with the band Lovelace and doing everything he could to try to be their new lead singer. And it was quite comical if you were there. So if any missed that, I know Tommy has his, fans, and he has his people that don't like him that much. I mean, it's just, I think it's everybody, but sometimes I think people don't see that side of Tommy that, they see, and that fun side of Tommy. And, for him to let loose a little bit and just have some fun was pretty cool to see. And I think it was, it really put an end cap onto an awesome event with that. So,
right.
So I'll go down the results real quick here. So, of course, Super Comp, Tom Stava won it 2 years in a row. He had a 19 light. He beat probably the hottest Super Comp driver right now in Division 1, which was Chase Fonstock. Yep. Turned it 12 red in the final. Both guys, Tommy I even went up to Tommy right before the finals. I said, Tommy, I need to know, since you're the last 2 pairs going down the track, if you turn on that wind light, are you doing something? Right. And he said, damn right, Rob. He says, right. Yeah. I win, I'm going through the finish line, and I'm going to turn this thing back around again.
Yep.
I said, okay. I just wanted to know, just so I can alert people.
Right.
Once Chase lit the red bulb, Tommy got out of it probably about 300, 400 feet down where it was, and then turned it around. And then Christy Pascal jumped the fence again like he did last year and went down, hugged him, and so did Kara. Kara went down, and actually, if anybody saw the video, Kara rode the roll cage up to the starting line, which we had a big celebration and stuff, and then we carried that over to the winner's circle.
Right.
So that was Super Comp. Super Gas was Danny Northrup, the Kamikaze Kid. Doesn't run Super Gas that often anymore. I mean, he's kind of turned himself into a big money bracket racer. Yep. Does damn well in that also, but he won Super Gas. Funny conversation with him. We have a group text message between Jeannie, his wife, him, and me, and we were chit-chatting one day, and he goes, listen, I don't Super Gas very often, so if you could add some buybacks to the Super Gas class, that would be great.
Yeah. Make him feel like he's been a big dollar bracket race, right?
Yeah. So I said, no, we don't. He says, oh, well, it might be a first round up. So needless to say, he wasn't. So Danny Northrup had a 23 light. He beat Mark Marsico in the final. Mark was 39 on the tree. Danny went 991 with a 7 to Mark's 993 with a 0. Super Street was Jason Krusty O'Teary. He does also another big money bracket racer. Doesn't run Super Street that often. But he was 25 on a tree, 1090 with a 1 to Sean Lanigan. Probably, besides Keith, the other hottest Super Street
driver, yeah.
And right now, so the streak that Sean's on right now, I can see my last race in ACO being a very interesting chase to the championship between Sean and Keith. So Keith said vowed somehow along the way he's going to try to be at my last race with some kind of car. So Sean was 29 on a tree and went 1091 with a 9 for the runner-up. Top dragster was Jeff Seaman. He was 24 on a tree. He went 481.7 on his 480 dial. We went 8th mile with Top Dragster and Top Sportsman, trying to draw some more cars. We actually had our largest car count to date with the Top Dragster series that I'd taken over mid-year with 32 cars. He beat Jared Kissinger in his blown dragster. He was 25 on a tree. He went 448.5 on his 429 dial. He had to pedal it, shook a little bit, and he had to pedal it and kind of left the door open for Jeff to take the win light. Top sportsman was Rich Rice III. He was 004, 541.1 on his 539 dial. He beat Ron Mellinger, who was 40 on the tree, 481.7 on his 481 dial. And then the junior dragsters was what you guys already mentioned, 58 cars, which was phenomenal amount. I was in the tower trying to figure out the schedule adjustments, and I heard somebody come to me and goes, Rob, you got to check this out. And I was like, what? He goes, come look through the window. And if you've ever been to the top third floor of Maple Grove, you can look out the window and look at the staging lanes. And he said, and they said, you got to come check this out. And I said, okay. So I turned around, I look over, and I was like, holy effing juniors. I was like, man, where did all these kids come from?
Well, it was like, we were talking to Chris in the beginning of the show, and I don't know any race that I've ever been to. I don't feel like I've ever seen. That's like the only time you're going to get that many juniors or more is if you go to a specific junior event. I've never seen, I mean, not that I've ever kept count, but I don't think ATCO divisional always seemed to be the hot spot for juniors. And do they pull in 58?
I think the most I've ever seen at ATCO was like 51 or 52, I think. Well, that's
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
We all know how vital the junior program is to continuing the sport.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see stuff like that.
Yeah. And I that was kind of like the thing, which we will have news very, very shortly. Me and Tommy Stava will have news very, very shortly on something we're going to do big for the juniors in 2023. And I will probably try to get Tommy on here also that night when we make the announcement. So, we have 58 cars. I mean, a great turnout. I mean, I did end up having to cut a second time shot from them, and, didn't do a consolation race for the guys who did lose first round, which did upset some parents where it was when it came down to, we had to finish the race. I mean, trust me, I said, like I told them, I said, we were 2.5 hours to 3 hours behind schedule. I would do everything I could for you guys to do a consolation race or give you guys a second time shot. But, we do. But I also, as I said earlier, was for us to bring new blood into this sport to get new people. It was because, not for nothing, it's just we're getting older and need to get that younger crowd into the year. It is that we need to introduce them to .90, top dragster, top sportsman type racing, or it was because for them to continue on what they want to do, either taking over their dad's car or their mom's car or whatever it might be, to continue that legacy. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is introduce them to throttle stop racing, top dragster, top sportsman. That they're going to catch a niche. They like doing it and they want to grow, with it. So, to go on this juniors was Michael Artram. He was 29 on the tree. He went a 795.6 on a 796 dial. And runner-up was Ryan Schmidt. Ryan is I'm very good friends with the whole entire family. He is Danny Pomponio's grandson. Danny runs Alcohol Funny Car, who is retiring at the end of this year. The Keystone Nationals and Virginia Divisional will be his last two in the Alcohol Funny Car. So he's retiring at the end of this year. But Ryan Schmidt is his grandson of his daughter Maureen and son-in-law Ted, and he was 001 red in the final, and he went 797.7 on his 8 flat dial. But I call him the mullet because if you ever seen Ryan, he has a long mullet going on. So, but overall, it was a great event, and car counts. I mean, car counts for car counts. I mean, it's tough. I heard a lot from some people that they thought $250 was too much money for an entry. I guess, the week before the Keystones,
right. Yeah. I mean, there are some people that either financially or time off from work or their schedule or whatever have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a fact of life. It is what it is. $250 entrance fee for what you're getting. I got to tell you,
If you
I would have a tough time complaining about that.
If you made it the third round, you got your entry fee back.
Right.
You made the $250 back off your entry if you made the third round.
Now, again, we all know that I'll defend NHRA until the cows come home. No one wonders where I stand with that.
Yeah.
I will tell you that if you win third round at an NHRA event, you're not getting your money back.
No.
And you're not racing for between $8,000 and $13,000 handed to you at the end of the race either.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. It's a 3-day marathon, with the NHRA race compared to a 1-day.
Correct.
1-day deal.
So if weather was perfect and track was perfect, how much was it to enter the Saturday and Sunday race?
If you did the high roller race Friday, the Saturday race, and the Sunday race, it was a total of $500.
Okay. And what were let's do super comp because it was a Dave Stein race.
Yeah.
What was the winner of the high roller race going to get?
If we had 40 cars, I believe it was, I'll let you know right now because I have the flyer up here. If we had 48 cars in the high roller race, it was $3,000 to win.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, 12.5 was the win on Saturday.
12.5 in Super Comp, and then Sunday's race, if we had 40 cars, it was $2,000 to win.
So I mean, you're talking just rounding everything off, right? You're up to like what, $7,000?
Yeah, you're making
17.5.
17.5. Okay, for $500.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, if I had the ability, I would have done it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but hey, I mean, listen, I mean, there were some people that had some other things going on. I mean,
and there's also some people that just can't afford it, which is fine. Yeah. That on top of, inflation and gas and food and all that stuff. And that's fine. But
I mean, one good part, I can say the one good part about the track taking over the payment wise, we allow credit cards.
Right.
We normally races do not allow credit cards just because the fact is that we pay right back out.
Sure.
So cash in, cash out, type thing it was. So we don't allow it because of the credit card fee, the 3% fee. So it's like, whatever. So we decided it. But now, with them collecting everything at the gate, we were able to, allow credit cards and cash because, I'm not sure about you and I know about, me or it was, but I know some racers who they race their races off of credit cards.
Sure.
Like they don't carry cash on them. Everything's done via credit card. I don't run my races off of credit cards. I refuse to.
Right.
So, but some people, they go every single race, they put it on a credit card. And then once the racing season's over with, they pay it off in the 6 months that they have off. Like there's no racing going on. And
they could use it as a business write-off or get airline miles or whatever. I mean, people do it for whatever reason they want. It's just nice to know that they have that option.
Yeah. So, whatever. I think, our original date wanted to be the week before the Lucas race at Maple Grove. Unfortunately, we had kind of set that up, and I actually made an announcement, kind of based on that thinking that they weren't going to put a back-to-back divisional.
Right.
And, thinking that wasn't, and I said, okay, this is the second annual Dave Stein race for me because the car count that we had last year and without juniors, last year, 232, we didn't have juniors with us.
Right.
So, it could have been a 300 plus where it was being with the juniors that we had them last year.
Sure.
But I tried to do it the week before the divisional. Unfortunately, when Division I came out for schedule, they had put Cecil County there as a race where it was. So it was like, okay, so where do I put this at that I'm, can be somewhere and try to do this? And I said, well, maybe the week before the Keystones, because people will now make this, like whatever. I mean, we had a couple,
or 2 for 1.
We had a couple out of division cars. We had a Division III Super Gas guy, John Schickish. He come out and went to the semifinals in Super Gas. So we had a guy from Ohio come out and run with us. And he's staying for the national. Right. Ken Bowers team, or Ken Bowers, Super Gas. He lives kind of down in Florida now. and came up. So, but I think we can grow it, and I think it'll be even more successful. And once we get into talks and stuff with the track, and we'll decide where, if it stays at Maple Grove or goes to another track or, whatever. I mean, negotiations will be, I'll talk to Kyle here, once this weekend's over with, just to get his feel on it and how he felt, and if he thought it was successful or not. So,
right. Well, what my wish is. My wish is the same as it was last year. If you can make it when I'm not in school, I'll be there. So the hell with the other 250 racers. As long as I get what I want.
Yes.
So something I wanted to touch on quick, and I'm sure you probably saw some of the banter. And I have no interest in naming anybody's names. But nothing drives me crazier than when something is trying to do something good and they wind up getting badmouthed for it. Mm-hmm. And from the outside looking in, just getting bits and pieces from everything, it sounds to me like Maple Grove was trying to improve the facility by doing stuff to the track and didn't quite get the prep right, or with the new compound or whatever. But at the end of the day, the incident that happened, and I don't necessarily mean just the key thing, just the whole deciding not to race on Friday night because of whatever situation. It didn't happen from neglect. Okay, it didn't happen because the track owners or managers said, screw this, I'm not putting the effort in. All right, so when someone is trying to make improvements to give us a better sandbox to play in, and people can't use their head enough to think, well, all right, so the outcome wasn't desirable, but how did we get here? We didn't get here out of laziness or neglect or not caring. We got here because we tried to do something and it just didn't work out. How people don't take that into consideration is mind-boggling to me. And it's funny because the same thing happened up at the Lebanon Valley Divisional. Kind of the same thing. Howard Commander decided he wanted to get the concrete polished and reworked before the divisional. So he hired a company. They came up, they did one lane. The machine broke. They sent the guy back to get the other machine. On the way back, he got pulled over and the trailer wasn't registered. They had to hire another company. Yeah, I mean, it was just now again, people were going up there and they were, oh, the lanes aren't the same. The track isn't good. And you know what? It wasn't great, but it wasn't from lack of effort. And people, in my opinion, I'm going to say the same thing I say all the time. With more tracks closing than opening, to sit there and badmouth, I mean, what Kyle did this year and his family in buying this track and the improvements that they did, for people to be calling the track a cesspool and badmouthing it, and to me, there is no room for that in this sport. It shouldn't be happening. And I am telling you, if I dwindle myself down to one friggin' friend on Facebook, and that turns out to be just my wife, I don't give a shit. I will speak up and I will call people out on their stupidity every single time. I don't care. I love this sport and I can't stand it when people don't think before they start flapping their gums. Yeah. In my opinion, the only person that might have had a legitimate right to bitch is the person who crashed their car. Outside of that, everyone should keep their friggin' mouths shut because they have no idea the amount of effort that this whole crew, you, the Maple Grove facility, everyone involved puts into this for them to just sit back and chirp, not knowing what's going on behind the scenes. It makes me a mental case. So that's my part in why I spoke up. And If I piss people off, you know what? I really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate part is social media will be the death of a lot of.
Oh my God.
It's 20, 25 years ago, when we didn't have social media and things like that, it was easy for somebody to just call Pete up on the phone. But Pete, did you hear what happened at, da 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 da?
Right.
And then you told one or two other people. The problem is, you get these, people who want to, like I said, chirp on, just like people, I saw on another site chirped about a big $1.90 race. Oh, that'll never work. That'll be a colossal failure. That person will basically lose his pants on the whole entire thing, or it was. What's he even think about doing that? Da 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 da. And then when I see the amount of cars that show up, it's not that I'm going to boast my chest. I'm not going to, sit there and push it in somebody's face and just be like, Pete, you had to go to school. Na boo boo. We weren't great. Was no. It's just, hey, I would rather constructive criticism be brought to me personally,
right,
being posted on Facebook. I could be a hot-headed German at times. I mean, I have a temper. It's not, something I'm very proud of at times where it was. And, I've got myself into trouble by sometimes I post stuff on Facebook and I comment on somebody's comment. Right. And, I had a long talk with a gentleman by the name of Jeff Fisher, who runs Supergas. And Jeff pulled me aside one day and we were sitting there chit-chatting. He says, I love you, Rob. I love everything you do with the series. I love how you give your heart and soul where it was. He says, shut the fuck up on Facebook. He's like, stop commenting because you feel somebody's attacking you. You feel somebody is, going after you. He's like, they're not going after you, but you need to stop saying how you feel. He's like, take a step back. Don't let that get to you, and either contact that person personally through or call them and ask them, why did you say what you were going to say?
Right.
It's
a double-edged sword, because someone could make a comment, and because you have so much vested in it, you automatically take offense to it, when in all reality, it might not have had anything to do with you. But it's in the day and age of social media and everyone being a tough guy behind a keyboard, it's so hard to take certain things that you don't really know, right? You don't know if someone's just mad at something else and venting, or if they're coming after you directly. It's hard to tell. And you hit the nail on the head. Years ago, if I had a problem with Rob, I pick up the phone and I say, hey, Rob, I was at your race this week, and the cooler at the end of the track wasn't cold. What the hell? You know what I'm saying? As opposed to this cryptic bullshit on Facebook where, are they talking about me? Are they not talking about me? What are they bad mouthing? It's just, we've gone so far away from being stand up and confronting what you're supposed to confront, because it's so much easier to run your mouth with no consequences. And that's kind of what we've turned into, and it sucks.
Yeah. And I read the comments. I read your comments. I read some of the other people's comments on there. Did I want to say something? Yes, I did. Because especially when I was kind of called out by that gentleman telling me that I didn't have the balls to stand up to the track owner.
Right.
And if the backstory behind everything, or it was, he knew that I did every damn thing that I possibly could to make sure he was still kept in the track.
Sure.
And
you and the track owner were working for a solution hand in hand the whole weekend.
Yeah.
So for you to say you didn't have enough balls to stand, what were you supposed to do? Say, hey, give me the keys to the tractor. I'm going to start driving up and down the track. I don't understand the people that don't know. I don't even know. I don't know what happened, but I'd like to think that I know enough about what goes on in the day-to-day operations that I knew that you guys were doing something about it.
Yeah.
Right. And
trust me, if you wanted to post on Facebook that I didn't do anything about it, and you looked over and took a picture and I was sitting in a lawn chair drinking a beer, hey, I got every right to get my butt chewed out for it.
Exactly.
Like I said, I was out there trying to find solutions for the way the track was. I was out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, up and down, walking the track with Jared from NHRA Division One, looking at solutions as what we needed to do, where the problems were in the racetrack that we needed to adjust, and what we needed to look at, to find a solution to make sure the race ran smooth. Right. Because, like I said, the last thing I got on, Friday, I was, even though technically Friday wasn't my event, there was people of mine who were still racing. So I was I offered my assistance to help out the track themselves to make a smooth event for them, because honestly, they're learning themselves.
Right.
Kyle's never been a track owner before.
Yep.
Shane's been a track manager before. Rob and some of the other crew members who have been there yes, they have been, with that racetrack for a long time.
Right.
But they're still green under their thumbs. I mean, they're learning as every little thing goes along. It's just like a job. You can get 2 months of training on something, and then the first day you're, by yourself, something pops up and you go, I didn't learn that in training. What am I supposed to do? And that's what they're getting. They're getting curveballs thrown at them left and right about things, how track prep supposed to be done, how they're supposed to do this, how they're supposed to handle that. And yes, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to piss people off. But, it's how do you fix the problem?
Right.
I've 11 years now as a promoter. And you know what? There's times where I come across it and I try to figure out a solution to better it, rather be track prep, how we call cars to lanes, how do we make an event run smooth? And that's just really how we, how do you make things better for racers so that, like I said, when you leave that gate on Saturday night or Sunday morning, or it was, you go, man, I had such an amazing time at Rob's race that I will be back at all of them from here on out. You know what? People's money only goes so far.
Right.
And you want, it's just like if you go to Walmart and you go buy a cooler and then, you get 2 uses out of the cooler and the wheels fall off of it.
Right. You're not buying that cooler again.
I just wasted, $100, for a cooler.
Right.
Waste of time. I'm not going back there to go buy another one. Well, I'm going to go buy a Yeti or something.
Right.
I'm going to spend $400 for a Yeti or and, I would rather somebody walk in, pay that money. When they leave, if they didn't even turn a wind light on at the end of the weekend, or when they leave, they go, you know what? I had an awesome experience. And that's what it's about. It's experience to you, the racer. You know what? A band on Friday night, a barbecue, a free barbecue, a pulled pork, ham, hot dogs, everything for all the racers.
Right.
And another band on Saturday night. It just, it's so much more than just a racing anymore, that you have to draw people in, and the experience of after party type thing. It's not that you have to go drink and get totally, crap faced, or it's just sitting down after a long day of racetrack and sit down and go, man, you know what? They put a ton of effort into this event, and I appreciate everything that they did for the racers. And that's what me and my team did, was to try to give the best bang for your buck.
Sure.
Whatever, even though it was $5 for a $100 weekend.
Right.
You got a dinner, you got 2 shows out of it for that amount of money.
And you got to watch Tom Stalba sing.
Yes. And Tom,
if that's not the bonus package, nothing is, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I can't wait. I know one of these days I will be able to attend one of your big races, and I personally can't wait. So hopefully all the stars will align. I commend you on a job well done.
So what's the window I have for school?
So we're talking like June 20th to August 28th to 30th.
They give me like 2 months.
Yep.
Okay. I'll see what I can do, Pete.
Good. I appreciate that. Thank you. Like, the hell with everybody else.
Yes.
I'll have to pay a $30,000 entrance fee just to make up for all the other people that aren't coming. But Bob, seriously, thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you didn't let any of the negativity get to you, because as you can see after the fact, the positive energy was 100-fold better than whatever little dribble bullshit was happening on Friday and Saturday. So yeah. Great job.
But, I appreciate all the racers. Thank you to all the racers that came on out. We rocked the place. And I mean, I got told by a lot of people when they came over, and anybody's been to Maple Grove, you come over top that hill and you look down, there it was, they thought they thought a divisional was going on.
Right.
We had the place packed and people were out in the field. I mean, it looked like it. I wish I had actually taken my Jeep out and was able to get a shot from on top of the hill of everything, but I never got a chance to do that. But thank you to all the racers who came on out and supported this event to make it to what it is. To all the sponsors, you guys are really the backbones when it comes down to it, because they're the ones who stepped up when times looked a little, different, because, what was, put on the table from previous ownership to current ownership was a big jump. But, luckily enough, we had sponsors who jumped on board, took it on. I mean, I'm going to say took it on the chin, but, helped out any which way they could to help us out, because they knew the effort that was going in.
Right.
Like I said, to my team, Dana, Ashley, Kathy, whoever else might have helped out, Jared from NHRA Division One, huge thank you to them guys. They knew I was stressed. They knew I was frustrated, and at times, and, also Dave Nahill also helped out immensely. They knew I was frustrated. They knew I was, they knew I needed a drink by the end of the night.
Sure.
I needed a Bree Sanka drink at the end of the night. But, and to the Maple Grove staff, Kyle is, Kyle is going to make, I'm going to tell you right now, Maple Grove in a couple of years will be the new Norwalk of the East Coast. I have a feeling he's, as long as he sticks with it and doesn't get frustrated, and then they can start showing, good strides and good profit margins and stuff like that. I think, Norwalk's, it's going to be your new Norwalk, and everybody's going to like to go to. So thank you to the Grove staff, to the guys. I mean, I'm very good friends with a lot of the staff that is there just from, previous ownership.
Sure.
And we're all friends, and we all go out to breakfast and lunch and dinners and stuff during the off season. And, I can't thank them enough for, the tons of effort that they put into the event, and they love working my events because they know they run smooth. So,
awesome.
But that's really all. So, hopefully when we get some dates and stuff for next year, we can pump it up, and any new programs that we have in the works, which should be coming shortly. Me and Tommy will talk very shortly about that. It's going to be a experience for everybody to just have some fun and enjoy themselves when they come to the racetrack. So
nice. Very cool. I'm going to in a private message, I'll send you my school calendar just so you have it.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on, telling us about your race. A great job. We appreciate having you.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Welcome, Rob. Congratulations again, buddy.
Thank you. See you guys.
All right. Have a great night. All right. Rob Keister, Mid-Atlantic 90 Association promoter extraordinaire, and one of the brains behind the Stein Memorial Race that was held this past weekend at Maple Grove. So
I don't feel like you got 2 words in edgewise, because I wouldn't shut the hell up.
Hey, let you roll with it, man.
Well, it's every other week. I got a lot of pent up energy that I
every 2 or 3 weeks, depending on your internet provider.
I'm an internet service. We're fiber optic now, baby. We should be good.
One of the things I did want to talk about a little bit, we don't have time for it tonight because I want to get moving, because I know you got stuff to do. But maybe next week you can be on. We'll depending on your schedule with your class and stuff. The taking over of IHRA and the introduction of the WDRA, World Drag Racing Association, or Alliance, excuse me. Real quick before we call it a night, I do have an interesting stat from the WDRA, again, World Drag Racing Alliance.
Yeah.
They have already signed 30 tracks and are supposedly, according to the news, in negotiations with another 50. Now, I did a little quick Google search earlier before I got on the computer for this. NHRA sanctions approximately 120 tracks in the country.
And this pop-up has the potential to hit 80 like within weeks.
Within, weeks or next few months or whatever.
I heard an interesting stat, and I don't know who I heard it from. Oh, I do know who I heard it from. I want to say Brett Kettner told Duran this stat. All we hear about is tracks closing. Right now, there are more drag strips operating in this country than ever before.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. So while a lot of people like to promote doom and gloom, right? We all kind of get wrapped up in that. Everything we see on the nightly news, right? You have 50 minutes of doom and gloom and 5 minutes of, hey, this is a great story, you know? There are more drag strips operating right now. You know, not all NHRA national event caliber tracks, but at the end of the day, there are more drag strips operating right now than ever before.
I'm not going to name the name of the track because it'd be quicker to blow through the states.
Yep.
Arkansas, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Tennessee, and Canada.
Yeah.
So
it'd be interesting.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Like I said, Larry Jeffers obviously bought IHRA.
Yeah.
So we're going back and forth on dates. Hopefully have Larry on and just kind of get an idea of what's going on, you know, on the, I guess you could call it, excuse me, independent side of sanctioning.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, you got Goliath, and you have a bunch of Davids, and
yep,
yeah, who knows? You know,
it's got the bigger sword.
The perfect example is an NHRA national or divisional versus Rob Keister's race, right? That's proof that you could have two different bodies both doing really good stuff that makes it attractive for people to race.
Right. What will be cool is actually one more quick thing. Let me just pull this up. 243 cars, he said, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Bear with me for 2 seconds here, please.
This is what they call dead air in radio.
This is what they call Chris wasn't prepared because he just thought of it. So 243 cars this past weekend. And just to preface it, because we know there are people out there that will bitch about it.
Right.
Not a bag on NHRA. If anybody likes to bag on them, it's me. I'm not bagging on them right now. I'm just simply giving you facts.
Yeah.
243 cars at an independent event that paid really good money.
Right.
All across the board to win. $250 back in the third round, correct?
You got your entrance fee back if you won the third round. Yep.
Third round. All right. This weekend at Maple Grove for the national event, the quota was 276 cars. The actual entries is 390 cars.
So here's what I'm going to say about that. The pros take up a huge chunk of time. And because of that, they have to limit their entries that come in. I would be much more inclined to compare Rob's race to a divisional where there is no maximums. So like in your guess the number game, what was the last divisional that we had?
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Yep.
So again, please bear with me for just a moment.
And as soon as you give us a number, I have a very interesting comparison.
Okay. I have to go into the engagement to find it. So like I said, it's just going to take me a sec here.
I'm going to say maybe another 100 cars, like 350-ish.
Yeah, I think it was in the low threes.
Yeah, so let's just say it was 100 cars more.
Yeah, all right. So let's go with 300.
Okay.
So it was close to 300. It was like, I want to say like 320 something.
All right. So 60 cars more for an NHRA divisional versus Rob Keister's race. Okay. Yeah. Now let's put that into a quick perspective. It costs $200 to enter a divisional. All right, let's use Super Comp for an example because it was the Dave Stein Memorial Race. You're going to pay $200 to get into a divisional. If you win the divisional and you have, excuse me, it's getting late, and you have every sticker for contingency and everything put in place to be able to collect, I believe the prize money is $2,000 in a check that gets mailed to you. Okay. And then you have to hunt down the contingency stuff. And I think even if you were fully stickered and did everything to the T, you might have a tough time getting $3 or $4 grand. I think the days of $5,000 contingency divisionals are probably gone. So let's round that off to $5,000 between contingencies and the check that you get from NHRA. For another $50, you have a shot at getting your entrance fee back for winning the third round, and you could potentially win $12,500.
Yeah, so you can double your money.
I don't know what the runner-up made at this race, but I'm guessing the runner-up probably made more than the average Super Comp divisional win. So again, not bad-mouthing NHRA, not saying is one is better than the other, just an apples-to-apples comparison. And then whoever's listening to this, it's up to you guys to decide which way is the better way to go, or do both.
Yep.
So the good thing about Rob's races is he never puts them on top of a divisional. So you literally could have the best of both worlds. You do one, you do the other, you do both, whatever you want to do. And we know plenty of people that do both.
And typically, not always, it's either leading into a divisional, right after a divisional, leading into a national, or right after a national.
Rob tries very, very hard to make it so that for one pull, you could get 2 races in.
Yeah.
So, good stuff.
Yeah. So like I said, if it all works out next week, maybe we can dive into that other stuff a little bit. Sure. But obviously want to say thank you to Steve Comella for coming on and talking about their incredible Hemi cars that they have, the Barracuda, the 4-speed, and the Dart, the automatic car that's, and you know, their original owners,
right?
You know, drove it off the showroom floor in 1968. That was a cool conversation. It was nice to talk to Steve.
Yeah, he's a good guest. It was good.
He is. And you of course, you did like the fact that he complimented you on the Vega.
I'm telling you, he's got to be the only Hemi guy ever that noticed my car. That was pretty impressive.
But yeah, so next week joining us is going to be Ellis Booth. We're going to talk slow stalkers. I like the slow stalkers at Indy. He was driving the Pinto wagon.
Oh, cool.
His uncle drives the 4-cylinder Ford Ranger in Stockholm. Okay. And I think they have a 4-cylinder Mustang as well. Excellent. So a few years ago, I got the chance to interview a gentleman who went deep into the stock eliminator rounds in a Ford Escort.
Wow.
From Canada. And, you know, after about the second or third round, I just kind of started calling it the little car that could.
Right.
Because he was taking them out. He was dropping factory cars like that. It was just really cool to see.
Pretty cool.
But so, yeah, we'll be talking to Ellis Booth about slow stalkers. And I'm not going to announce the guest following on the 26th, but I will say this, the young man that is joining us, we may have another very well-known guest joining us to speak to him as well. Working on that as we speak. So pretty much it. Thank you to Rob Keister. Thank you to Steve Comella. Pete, thank you. And like I said, if all goes well, he'll be back with us next week, depending on his class stuff.
Yep.
And we'll talk some WDRA, some IHRA, some slow stalkers, and
results from Maple Grove National.
Maple Grove National event. And again, you never know what else might pop up. We might have the shark picture that I had last year of the, you know, when you think Maple Grove, what other 4-letter word besides NHRA do you think? Right.
I got to tell you, the long-term forecast looks stellar right now. Yeah, I know. Keep our fingers crossed.
That was the right,
yeah, I know, right?
in the weather forecast.
All right, buddy.
Buddy.
Have a good night.
Thank you for coming on and hanging out, Pete. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
My pleasure. We'll see you soon.
All right. If you are on your way to Maple Grove or any other track in the racing universe, drive safe, enjoy yourself, have fun. And also want to throw a big congratulations out to Kyle Coltrera for bringing 100K home from this past weekend as well. Have a great night, everybody.